On this week's episode, we have reviews of Licorice Pizza, Cowboy Bebop, local casting in New England, and our first look at Hawkeye. For the Hub on Hollywood, I'm James.
I'm Jamie. Welcome. Thanks for joining the conversation with us. So I think, James, we're going to jump right into Hawkeye. So this is the latest Marvel show that's been out. It's been a little bit of a drought. It's been a while since we've had a Marvel show to obsess about every week. I think the last one was Loki.
Weeks.
It's been a few weeks. It feels a lot longer. It feels a lot longer than that.
I guess Loki... Yeah, I guess Loki was the last show. I think just because Marvel is always in the atmosphere, is always being talked about. That's why I feel like, and especially with Spider-Man Far From Home, or was it No Way Home?
No Way Home, yeah. Coming soon.
It's with all that in the ether, makes it feel like Marvel is constantly with us. But you're right, it has been a while since Loki wrapped up, and now Disney Plus unveiling their first two episodes of Hawkeye, starring Jeremy Renner, of course, as Clint Barton, and a new addition, Haley Steinfeld, with her portrayal as Kate Bishop.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Excellent. So I've got to tell you, I've wanted Jeremy Renner to have his own show from the second I saw him as Hawkeye. I thought that his relationship with Natasha Romanoff was so interesting, and there was so much backstory that could be explored there. I kind of felt like, I wanted to know what adventures they had gotten into in the past, but that's not what we're getting here. It's sort of an after the events of Endgame and the defeat of Thanos and all of that. And I feel like this is a lot more grounded than some of the other shows that we've gotten, because he's just a normal guy. He's a normal, regular guy. He's a dad. So it's definitely, once again, a totally different feel from the other shows that we've gotten. What was your initial take on the first two episodes? And then we'll get kind of into the details.
Yeah, so the first two episodes are pretty much kind of laying down the groundwork for the series and for the new addition to the MCU of Kate Bishop. And so the first two episodes, I thought they were, pretty good for setting the stage. I do agree that this show, this series, is more grounded than Loki or WandaVision, of course, by a mile. But it's also lighter, too. I think it's trying to be a little more funnier, a little more family-friendly, since this is being released during the holidays, during Christmas time, and in the series, this is taking place during Christmas. So I do get that lighter feel, more realistic for sure, because, Hawkeye is not flying around or shooting beams out of his forehead.
Right.
But this one, we're seeing like the kind of like the underbelly, like maybe like the sub-villains of the MCU, because like you mentioned, the big villains like Thanos, like at a time Loki, when you had some other big heavy hitters, these adventures seem to be focusing on the underground gangs of New York City, and including one, I think it's the jumpsuit gang. And
that was funny.
Yeah, and so this is dealing with, like, I guess, more villains that Hawkeye could handle, because if it's Hawkeye versus Thanos or Loki, it's going to be a very tough fight for him, as we've seen in the before. But with these kind of like these syndicate gangs with people pulling the strings from behind, this is something that Hawkeye, I think, specializes in. He's a spy, he's a soldier, and this is more his realm of expertise, I think. So I think that's what we're seeing. And
it's interesting you mentioned that, because he's used to the secrecy, he's used to being a spy, and then suddenly he's famous. And I think the show addresses that, and it opens up with him in New York City with his kids at a Broadway production of the Battle of New York with all of the
Rogers,
Avengers.
the musical.
Right, with all the Avengers singing and dancing, and he kind of can't handle it. At one point, he turns off his hearing aid, because after everything that he's been through, just a regular human, he can barely hear. He's got, injuries and whatnot. He's like, Ant-Man wasn't there, and like he has to step out because it was just too ridiculous. But he's trying to get to know his kids. And I think that's a real realistic take, because he was the only one alive during the 5 years of the snap. And his family is now back, and he's trying to get to know them again. He's trying to get to be the man, that he wanted to be, that Natasha, sacrificed her life so that he could continue to live and be with his family. So that's all at play here. I agree with you. I'm getting like Home Alone vibes. I'm getting like holiday movie vibes here. And I just love how he just has no patience with Kate Bishop. He's like, you're a damn kid. Like, what are you, 18?
He's begrudgingly.
Yeah.
He's begrudgingly joining this other mission that he doesn't want any part of. He wants to spend time, as you mentioned, with his family. But of course, he's getting roped back in after his Ronin uniform or costume,
outfit,
whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was acquired by this secret auctioneer and was auctioning it off to these high-profile people, and then that sets into motion the plot. Pretty much what Hawkeye wants to do is to gain possession of his suit once more for several reasons. One, he doesn't want it to be tied back to himself. He doesn't want it to be tied back to the Avengers, because again, I think that may be a big bombshell if it's revealed that Ronin was Hawkeye. Then people may be questioning, like, oh, this guy was on the loose for 5 years just slaughtering people. And so I think he wants to take it back to hide what happened, and also now that he's met Kate Bishop, he needs to get her disconnected from it, because now the underlord gang leaders, they think she's Ronin, and then now want to take her out. And so that's what the basic plots, I guess, of this 6-episode series is looking like. What are your thoughts on Haley Steinfeld? Because I think she's playing a 22-year-old in the show, and in real life, I think she's 24. But I think she's doing great.
I think she's doing amazing. I like her personality. I like her dry wit. I think that she, gives the performance time to breathe. And so far, pretty believable, pretty funny. I just like I think the humor of that character is a little unique. It's a little different from what we've seen so far. And her, she loves her mother, who's tied up in something going on with this rich guy and her own mystery. I really liked the opening, the backstory of Kate Bishop, how she was living in like a penthouse apartment in New York City during the Battle of New York, and she witnessed all of that. She was saved by Hawkeye, who killed one of the aliens that was coming towards her. But then she
was
lost.
Necessary in that battle.
I know. So obviously, and that's where she was inspired to learn the bow and arrow and to learn how to defend herself. So she's a kind of a hero wannabe. But again, it's super grounded, more realistic, and I think it's a welcome change of pace from all the magic and craziness, and I'm digging it. If only just to see Jeremy Renner, like, these stupid kids, there was one scene where he goes LARPing, which is live action role play, trying to track down his suit, and he has to he has to get into it. He has to sword fight with all of these people and pretend to lose. And he's like, damn it. I fought Thanos and now I'm pretending to die while LARPing. It was.
I think he was enjoying it.
Yeah. And I think we enjoyed it. So I'm loving it so far. I went into it, not expecting to enjoy it. Okay, I think I go into all of these shows with a grain of salt and another Marvel product. What else could they possibly come up with? But I mean, they just do such a good job of humanizing these characters and making a realistic and engulfing kind of story. So I'm digging it. What do you think, James?
So I agree. I did enjoy it more than I thought I would. At the same time, I hope in the next few episodes we find out. I hope they made this series not to just be a filler in between movies or in between Marvel projects. I hope that they do really, lay a good groundwork for Haley Steinfeld and her character. There are rumors that she may be leading, or maybe Marvel's creating this Young Avengers initiative, and so she would be a member of that. And so I think, these shows, it's a kind of, right at this moment, it's a kind of a love-hate, because I do feel like Loki and WandaVision, they did expand the characters. You learn more about them and their growth and their journey. At the same time, there are some moments that, do we really need some of these? People could call it fillers, and so that's what I'm hoping. The opening was good for Hawkeye. Not my favorite so far at this time series of the MCU TV series, Disney Plus series, but I think it's a really good start. I think Jeremy Renner and Haley Steinfeld have a really good chemistry together, so I'm sure that'll carry along forward. And I'm excited for more of this.
Excellent. Yeah, and there's so many storylines that they need to tie together. The next big thing that's coming out is Spider-Man No Way Home in just a couple of short weeks, like 3 short weeks from now. But, James, you were telling me that there's just a little too much. There's too much coming out. There's too much that we know ahead of the movie. Is that what you were feeling?
Yeah, I am hyped for Spider-Man No Way Home. Of course, I'm going to see it no matter what spoiler or leaks are flooding the internet. But at the same time, and again, it's like the worst kept secret that Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man are going to be appearing in this. The worst kept secret. However, at the same time, I don't feel, just because certain information does get leaked out, that Disney should include it in trailers. Because I think, of course, Kevin Feige, he's known for, kind of cracking down or trying to make, Tom Holland or Mark Ruffalo feel bad for leaking things accidentally. And so I think if it was up to him, a lot more things would still be under wraps for Spider-Man No Way Home. But right now, again, like you said, we're 3 weeks or so away from the release. And now even after the last trailer revealed so much about what we're going to be seeing, the TV spots are showing even more. Again, not that I've seen them, but you see the headline. So this TV spot was just released and it reveals blank and blank. And I'm like, come on, guys, we're 3 weeks away. Everybody's going to see this movie anyway. So why not try to save some? This has been a problem with trailers, and increasingly has been getting worse over the past several years when they reveal too much. But again, these movies are moneymakers, kind of like Star Wars. You don't need to advertise it to, all ends of the galaxy. People will hear about it and they will want to see it and give you their money. So even though the leaks and secrets are out, keep it. Yeah,
and it's so strange, James, because we didn't get like a trailer forever, and then we didn't get the second trailer forever, and then right at the end they're just going to regurgitate, they're just going to throw everything at us all at the same time. So I don't appreciate those kinds of spoilers. I don't appreciate giving out big plot points in trailers and things like that. Let us experience it in the theater. Maintain that mystery.
You know what they should
do? What?
They should bring back the movie voice guy, where he kind of gives you the synopsis during in a world where Jeremy Renner plays Hawkeye, he must team up with this young protege of his, and so we need maybe that to come back. You get 1 or 2 trailers, and then you get that voiceover just giving you the short wrap up summary of it, and then you go in blind. They need to bring back that movie guy.
Yeah, where is he? Is he alive?
Bring back the movie guy.
Yeah.
Well, Screen Junkies, they do the honest trailers, and they have the best movie guy voice. So if you are not subscribed to Honest Trailers fandom on YouTube,
you should
go ahead and follow, because they have great content. But there are people out there with that voice that they can start using again, and to hopefully protect those secrets and those twists and turns in the movies. But let us know what you think. Hawkeye is out now. First 2 episodes next week. Episode 3 is coming out. There are hints, and people are, of course, dissecting every frame, trying to detect what this character is going to become and who's going to appear later. Let us know what you think about the first 2 episodes. Are you on board, or are you just done with all these MCU series in between movies? Comment down below. But let's talk about if you want, because I think you pleasantly surprised with this new Netflix show.
Yes, James. Okay, so I'm gonna get super geeky now. Anime fans, if you are a fan of anime, manga, Japanese, Korean, welcome. Welcome to my TED Talk. We're going to be talking about Cowboy Bebop today. Okay, so Cowboy Bebop is this just legendary manga anime. The anime came out in late 90s, 1998 to 1999. And it is one of my favorite animes of all time. So it follows the story of these traveling space bounty hunters in the year 2071. So we gotta get cooking with the technology, man, because we gotta, it's coming up. But we've got our traveling space bounty hunters. You've got Spike Spiegel. He was born on Mars. He wears this classic, like this blue suit, and he's got this tall hair. And he has a history of gang activity and being involved with these gangs, which he has escaped. And he joins kind of this crew. They're all escaping their past, I think, is the common thread here between the characters. We've got Jet Black, who's Spike's partner, who's a former detective. He has a cybernetic arm, and he, I guess, was running away from some botched investigation of his. He lost his job, and this is what he does now. He's a bounty hunter. He owns the spaceship. The hunk of junk is very reminiscent of like the Millennium Falcon. We love our space cowboys. I know I do. Always love my space cowboys. And Faye Valentine, who's also a bounty hunter con artist, who has a gambling addiction, and she kind of ends up with these guys sort of by accident, and together they chase various folks, and ultimately, Spike has a love interest who didn't escape from the gangs, and I think his ultimate goal is always to go back and try to save his love, Julia. There is a gang lord, I guess. His name is Vicious, white hair. He's one of the main villains. So that's the basic premise. Now, James, there have been a lot of animes and mangas that have been brought to live action. Most of them have been horrible. Most of them have been like crash and burn and full of controversy. I can honestly say with so much enthusiasm and so much excitement, this is the best live action adaptation of an anime that I have seen so far. That's not to say that it's perfect, but that's to say that this, like watching this show, watching these episodes of Cowboy Bebop was exactly like watching the anime. They follow the same plots. They've got the same characters. They've got the same angles. John Cho is the lead character. I feel like people had a lot of misgivings about him being Spike, because Spike was, kind of an aloof, carefree, slow drawl, but, very deep character. And it's hard to replicate. It's definitely hard to replicate. And John Cho doesn't exactly have the physique, he doesn't look exactly like the character. But I think they did a really good job. I think they did as good a job as they could have done with him. He grew his hair out, as much as he could. But it plays on the screen like just visually gorgeous, like exactly how it would have been drawn. And it feels like you're watching a comic. It feels like you're watching the manga. It feels like you're watching the anime. So it's definitely high. It's fantasy. It's visually stunning, but the acting is there. They let the action breathe. They take their time. They get the emotions right. Because it's overdone. You know what I mean? It's a little bit of overacting. It's a little bit over the top.
Yeah, a little tongue in cheek.
A little tongue in cheek to make it feel like that. It gives it the same feel, it gives it the same feel of the original. So I think they did a really, really good job with that. It's fun. It's violent. and it's true to the story. So if the original Cowboy Bebop was your thing, this show will not disappoint you. Or if space cowboys and bounty hunting and dark storylines and forbidden love and stuff like that is your deal, like, this is a great show for you to check out. Cowboy Bebop. It's on Netflix now, James.
Yeah, I have known of the anime cartoon for years. However, I'm not into, I can't say I'm a hardcore anime fan. There are anime shows that I've watched and very enjoyed, but I don't know the world of anime. I don't know, all the top greats, but I've heard always that Cowboy Bebop is up there as one of the great shows to ever be made in that genre. Yeah. I have seen, when I was a kid, when it was out, I guess, I've seen like clips or glimpses of it, and it seemed just way too chaotic for me at the time. You just have these lights flashing, and, these angles and colors bending and warping, and at the time, that's what I remember as a kid. So I never caught on board, but I do know that the anime is very popular, and I have heard, mixed to good reviews about the Netflix adaptation. Let me ask you this. Do I need to watch the anime cartoon show to appreciate the Netflix version?
You don't. I think they do a really good job of introducing it, of getting you on board with the story quickly, and you can follow along. I don't think you need to have read or watched anything before this. They do a really, really good job with that. I'm excited. I'm really, really excited that it is such a good live action, James, because there have been such terrible, horrible, soul-crushing adaptations, like live action adaptations out there. Among the worst, James, there was Full Metal Alchemist. I don't think it was the worst, but it was confusing. So Full Metal Alchemist, also one of the greatest animes out there. Hagane no Rinken Jitsushi in Japanese.
You can say that again.
Thank you very much. Say that 5 times fast. Hagane no Rinken Jitsushi. The live action, so the anime, right, and the manga featured Western, Germanic-looking people, but the cast was all Asian. Which is fine. It was a Japanese, manga anime production, and the story and the story was okay. The effects were not great. But then you have like Dragon Ball Z in 2009. Dragon Ball Evolution came out. Oh my God, that's the king of all stinkers. Okay, and they were Asian characters that were then suddenly played by all Caucasian people. So that really angered a lot of people. So it was like, it's either one or the other. Like the races never like line up. Yeah. But Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Evolution like changed the entire character of Goku and his personality. The story was dumb. The action was just not there. It was just horrible. And Dragon Ball Z is so good. Like, I feel like it deserves so much better than that. So I'm just really happy. I may get some hate for this.
I may get some hate for this, but I've never watched Dragon Ball Z. As
How
a kid
dare
growing
you,
up,
sir?
all my friends, I'm not even joking, loved Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
They came in with their shirts, their gear, their merch or whatever, and always talked about it. I tried watching it, but I think I guess there must be, at the time, at that age, I wasn't used to how maybe it visually looked compared to American cartoons. Maybe it wasn't as fast-paced or as chaotic. American cartoons were not as what I interpreted to be pure chaos on when it came to anime cartoons. So I've never watched Dragon Ball Z, but I do know that it is very good. I do know that there is a deep following in it or for it. I guess I love The Last Airbender. That is considered anime, correct? Even though it's American made.
It's borderline. I don't know that it is, but it is borderline.
Now, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's produced by obviously Nickelodeon, but it was like the drawing was done in Japan.
Anime style, right? And in Japan.
Yeah, and so there was
Korea,
a cooperation, or Korea, and probably Korea. And so there was that collaboration, So that show I absolutely love. I just watched the series all over again because it is so good. So if you haven't watched The Last Airbender, watch that. Don't watch M. Night Shyamalan's version.
No, don't
of
watch M. Night
The Last
Shyamalan's version.
Airbender.
That was also
No.
a huge disappointment. Like, there were so many people that were ready to love that film, me and my husband among them. And I have never, ever, ever heard an audience with so much excitement, like, deflate. And the excitement turned to anger, like that before, James, like, in the theater. Like, everyone was so pumped. And then as the movie's going along, it's like, what is this? What is this? And then there's a guy yelling. Like, people started yelling in the back. There was a guy in the back. He's like, his name is Aang! Because, they changed the name of the main character from Aang to Ung. It's like, his name is Aang!
You're like, oh, I started hearing screaming all of a sudden, then I realized it was me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I can neither conform nor deny that. So there have been a lot of doozies, there have been a lot of bad ones. So this is a really, really, really good live action adaptation. And I am happy to bring that news to all of you. So, Cowboy Bebop.
So Cowboy Bebop, check it out on Netflix. It's out right now, and I believe that they've already announced that they're doing season 2, which should be starting to film soon. And so, yeah, perfect. Well, Cowboy Bebop, you like it. Now, here's a movie that I didn't necessarily was fully on board, and that is Licorice Pizza. So I was able to get a sneak peek, a screener look at Licorice Pizza. It's kind of a coming-of-age story that takes place in the 1970s. It's written by Paul Thomas Anderson, who's directed films including Magnolia, Boogie Nights, Punch Drunk Love, There Will Be Blood, The Master, Phantom Thread. So a lot of great stuff that that he has directed and written. However, this one, there are pros and cons, and so let me just go right into the story. This takes place in 1973 in California, in the San Fernando Valley, where teenager Gary Valentine meets Alana Kane, a photographer who is in her 20s, a photographer assistant. So they become friends when they meet at school, and then they build this friendship, and then this becomes a will they, won't they kind of relationship. And they try starting several businesses together, including a waterbed company, also a ping pong, or a pinball game machine, kind of a joint or an arcade. So this 15-year-old Gary Valentine, he's very, what's the word? He's very outgoing and not flamboyant, but he's a child star actor, so he's very smooth. He's used to talking to adults all the time, so he knows how to communicate with those young and old, and he kind of has this kind of ego and kind of drive that has him wanting to become an entrepreneur, because his time as a child actor is kind of waning. He's getting fewer and fewer roles. And then we meet Alana. Alana, she's a 25-year-old woman who really isn't happy with where she is in life. And so they kind of build this bond. And the first thing that kind of turned me off from the movie was the age difference. So Gary Valentine, played by Cooper Hoffman, is 15. Alana Kane is played by Alana Haim, who is in the band Haim. She plays a 25-year-old, and so that initially kind of like, okay, so I wasn't too comfortable, or wasn't like, okay, why is this story happening, kind of a thing. And then there are parts where this film feels like it's kind of scattered, where it doesn't really follow an exact linear line or linear path. The timeline's linear, but when they jump from one business opportunity to another, or one location to another, it kind of feels jumbled. What I will say about this movie is that the two main characters, Alana and Gary Valentine, the actors who play them are really, really good in this movie. Like, their chemistry is really fun. They are fun, but at the same time, you're not really rooting for the characters, including Alana, who's 25. Like, there are things to like about her, but there are other things that you don't really like about her, and she doesn't really have that many redeeming qualities. And so, this movie, I wasn't too on board. However, this movie is getting critically acclaimed by other reviewers. So what do I know? People are saying that they appreciate the story. That it's that young love, coming of age story that a lot of people relate to, and they do like. There are fun sequences. There are fun scenes for sure. And again, the two main characters, they bounce off of each other very well. But this isn't a movie that I think I would see. However, again, I could be wrong. There are other critics out there who are giving good reviews for this. And so, if anything, maybe you should watch it and decide what you think. Because even though it may not be my cup of tea, or if I didn't really connect with it as much as other people have, it doesn't mean that you won't either. So, Licorice Pizza. Don't ask me why the movie is called Licorice Pizza. I was hoping the movie would answer that. So they either didn't or I missed it. So, that movie is coming out in late December. Right now it's in select theaters, but it's going to come out to all theaters later in December. So keep an eye out for Licorice Pizza.
Okay, James. It sounds a little cringe to me. It just seems like, if it was a 25-year-old guy and a 15-year-old girl, like it just wouldn't it wouldn't work. And not sure it should work this way either.
I feel like if they had made her 18 or 19 years old and she was still like a photographer's assistant, graduated high school, and now she's back at the high school to help this photographer take class photos, I think that would have been less jarring than somebody who's 25 who also is trying to find like the easy way out, where she starts dating Gary or starts being interested in Gary because she kind of feels, oh, this guy's an actor, he's this entrepreneur who's trying to make businesses and companies, and so he may be able to help me leave my parents' house because she's still living with her family. And then there's a moment where she runs into another. I don't think he's a child actor in the movie, but I think he's a young actor, maybe 18, 19, the character wise. She ditches Gary Valentine for this other actor because he's more up and coming and he has a little more bigger name to him at the moment. But then things don't really work out, and as soon as that doesn't work out, Alana is back to Gary, and so she's not the most likable character. And I feel like there were some tweaks in this that they could have fixed that would have made the story a little more digestible and maybe more relatable, because I don't think many 15-year-olds are dating 25-year-olds. I hope they're not, but I don't think there's much to relate there. So what do I know? Other people are reviewing it well. It's getting good ratings on Rotten Tomatoes and on the Cinema Score. So check it out for yourself. It's coming out soon in theaters next month.
All right. Well, I feel like I would probably be on board with you, James, on that one. And you know what else we want to get you on board with? Casting calls. We want to get you on movies.
That's right.
That's part of what we do here on the Hub on Hollywood. There are a number of productions that are filming right now. We don't have any specific bookings at the moment, but just want to let you guys know we've got I Want to Dance with Somebody, the Whitney Houston biopic. They are looking for hundreds of extras. They're doing a lot of shooting right now. I think they're getting closer to the end of their production, but big set pieces, performances, concerts, things like that where they need a lot of extras. So that's through Boston Casting. You're going to want to keep your eye out on for that. You want to sign up with Boston Casting for that one. Cape Cod, they've got a movie filming out there with one of the Big Bang actors that's currently underway. Hocus Pocus 2 is being filmed in Rhode Island. So definitely, folks, keep coming back to us for specific castings. There's a number of projects that are underway. Boston Strangler is going to start filming next month. So hopefully we could see some of those casting calls out soon, too.
Yeah, they're looking for a bunch of extras for Boston Strangler right now. They're looking for men at least 30 years old who are clean-shaven, who kind of fit the part, short hair, kind of looking like in that 60s era. So yeah, Boston Strangler is looking for a bunch of background actors. So stay tuned with us on the Hub on Hollywood. If you are watching us on YouTube, thank you so much. If you like what you see, give us a subscribe, smash that like button. It always helps. Comment down below on what you think about Hawkeye. Maybe you've seen Licorice Pizza. What are your thoughts? And also on Cowboy Bebop. I'm not sure if it's too polarizing of a show, but I have heard good things about it. So let us know what you think. We're also on the social medias, so you can find us at Hub on Hollywood on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook. You can find Jamie at J Blanco Newsy, and you can find myself at James Rojas News. But yeah, I think this is a great jam-packed episode.
Yes.
But yeah, for the Hub on Hollywood, I'm James.
I'm Jamie. We'll see you next week with more.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.